Look, I know it's only April, but there's been a ton of great 4K releases already in the year of 2024. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about my top 10 4Ks of 2024. Are you ready? Let's do it. Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you would be so kind, hit that like button for me. Also hit that subscribe button if you like movie and physical media content. I would definitely appreciate that. And then leave me a comment down below, guys. Today we're going to be covering my top 10 4Ks of 2024 so far. Let me know what some of your favorite 4Ks that have come out this year, or even some of your favorite Blu-rays. If you're not a big 4K collector, let me know what some of your favorite releases of the year is. I may do another video as we get to the halfway point of the year, just talking about some of my favorite overall releases, but today we're just doing 4Ks. I like to do these every 3 months because I think there's enough that comes out within those 3 months to talk about and update. But without any more stalling, let's get into it. Let's start with some honorable mentions. I've got 3 honorable mentions to talk about. And like I said, this has been a good year so far. To be honest, most of my stack is boutique stuff. I feel like the studios have really been kind of failing us in 2024, if I'm being completely honest. I'm sure they'll pick up the slack as we go. But I've got a lot of great boutique stuff to talk about that's come out this year for sure. But let's talk about these 3 honorable mentions. I'll go ahead and throw up Varsity Blues, just because I love this movie and it was really cool to get to see this in the 4K format. I thought it was a really nice 4K. It wasn't one of the best 4Ks I've ever seen. That's why it's not in my top 10. But I enjoyed this 4K. I love this movie. It's just so nostalgic for me. It's just a part of my childhood, my teen years at this point. And it was really cool to get to see it in 4K. And I was just happy that Paramount did it, because I wouldn't say this is a comedy that was upgraded to 4K, but it's definitely a teen movie of that era. And I want to see more of that type of stuff. I want to see more comedies, and I want to see more teen movies like this and American Pie and Can't Hardly Wait and those kind of films. So Varsity Blues, that made my honorable mention. Also, the Horrible Dr. Hitchcock. I enjoyed this movie a lot. This is a release from Vinegar Syndrome. You may see them come up a few other times on this list because they just do incredible work. But I thought this was an awesome 4K. It looked great. It had that gothic setting, that castle type setting. So all of that stuff looked great in 4K. There was some really nice lighting and colors in this that really popped with that HDR. And I thought this was a great 4K. So really enjoyed the movie as well. Some good special features in this one. And it's a nice hard box, guys. You can't beat that. You just can't beat it. Well, I've got 10 more that does beat it because it's honorable mentions. But yeah, Dr. Hitchcock. It looks like Hickok, but it's Hitchcock is how you're supposed to pronounce it. This one got delayed. This was supposed to come out in 2023. Got delayed until January of 2024. And this is High Tension. This is a movie that I've loved ever since I first saw it. I think 5 or 6 years ago. I bought it on DVD at a thrifting store. It may have been a Goodwill, to be honest. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it. It blew my mind. The twist just I was like, damn, this recontextualizes the whole movie. I thought it was really well done. Really gory, really violent. It just has a real sinister attitude to it. And I really was looking forward to seeing this get upgraded to 4K because I could definitely see the potential there. And I really enjoyed this 4K. I know some people, I feel like there were some complaints out there that it was a little bit too dark. And I'm not saying it's a great 4K. That's why it's not in my top 10. But I really enjoyed the transfer. I thought it was a really solid 4K transfer for sure. And I mean, that's just kind of what happens with 4K, guys. I think I said this in my stream the other night. It's almost like you put a darker tint over it. That HDR just makes it look a little bit darker, but I like that because it adds more depth, and I think those colors just look a lot richer and more realistic as well, and I think there was a lot of that going on in this High Tension 4K. Plus, there's great special features as well here. There's an interview with the director of the film, Alexander Aja, and there's some audio commentaries, just a lot of good stuff here. You got a booklet, and it's Second Sight, guys. They spare no expense. They always do a great job. You may see them come up later on in this list. So High Tension, that was an honorable mention as well. So let's go ahead and jump into my top 10. And coming in at number 10 is a movie that I'm kind of surprised made it into my top 10, but I really enjoyed this movie. I watched it recently. It's a Western film, and I just think that Westerns look phenomenal in 4K, and that is Going South. And this was a really cool movie. This is a part of the new cinematography line. That's how I'm going to pronounce it from now on, guys, because I've heard multiple people say that's how you're supposed to pronounce it. But Going South was a really cool movie, directed by Jack Nicholson, starring Jack Nicholson. This was Mary Steenburgen's first film. I thought she was great in the movie. It's just a fun Western comedy, romantic comedy. I would say it's a Western romantic comedy, and I thought it was really well directed by Jack Nicholson, some great cinematography, and it looked great in 4K. There were some really great special features as well here. There's a special feature talking about Jack Nicholson as an actor that was trying to transition into director and where that path led him. So I thought there was some really good stuff in this release, and it's just a stunning release. I love these little digipacks that they have. You take it out, you have it's like a book, guys. You got the discs, and yeah, it's a digibook. Look at that. You may see another one of these pop up. They're my favorite thing going right now in physical media. These cinematography releases. Like, I like them more than the VSUs just because the movies have been quality. Like, the movies have been really good. And Going South, yeah, that comes in at my number 10. I thought this was a great release. I think that it's still on the Vinegar Syndrome website. It's still available. I don't think it's sold out or anything. So I highly, highly recommend this film. And I think this is a great release and a great 4K. Vinegar Syndrome always does great work on their 4Ks. This one coming in at number 9. I just thought was a phenomenal 4K. The movie I thought was super fun, far more fun than I thought it would be. And I'm just really proud of MVD Rewind because since they've jumped into 4K, I was never like really impressed with their Blu-rays, but since they've jumped into 4K, they've done a great job. And I think they've had some of the best 4Ks with Swamp Thing and Ghoulies and now Cutting Class, which came out back in January. I thought this was a really solid restoration. It looked a lot better than the Vinegar Syndrome release that came out. Has all the same special features, I'm pretty sure, that the Vinegar Syndrome one has, so they didn't add anything new. But I just, I'm down for this laser vision line, guys. I think it's really cool. I love the aesthetic of the packaging. The MVD Rewind has always done great stuff with their packaging for sure. And yeah, guys, this was just a really fun kind of slasher movie with some twists and turns. This is one of Brad Pitt's early films. And I really enjoyed it, but I thought the picture quality with this one was exceptional. I thought it was one of the best 4Ks I had seen all year. So Cutting Class absolutely delivered on 4K, 100%. That's my number 9. Getting into my number 8, this is another one that is rooted in nostalgia for me. I have been watching this movie probably since it came out back in 1990 or 1991. I think it was 1990, though. This movie means the world to me. This, honestly, was probably the movie that made me a fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and that is Kindergarten Cop. And I just thought this was a really solid upgrade. I thought Kino Lorber did a great job on this one. And it might honestly have been, I'm trying to look and see, this might have been Universal that did the transfer or Kino Lorber. I'm not exactly sure like who was responsible for the restoration, but whoever did it, it looked great, and it looked a lot better than that Blu-ray did. That Blu-ray is so flat and so out of date, but I thought this 4K was a really solid upgrade. And this movie, I was seeing it like I had never seen it before, and I had been with this movie since VHS, cable, DVD, Blu-ray, now on 4K. I've seen it in every format. I've probably seen it on Laserdisc, if I'm being honest. I've seen this movie so many times. It means the world to me, and I thought Kino Lorber did a great job with this 4K. And I think this one had 2 new audio commentaries as well, but no special features. I don't know what's going on with Kindergarten Cop. Why is there no special features? Because the Blu-ray never had special features either, but nonetheless, it was a really great 4K, one of my all-time favorite movies, one of my all-time favorite Schwarzenegger movies, and I loved it. So that is my number 8 right there, Kindergarten Cop. And now getting into my number 7, guys. My number 7 of 2024 is another Vinegar Syndrome title. This is a part of the VSU line, and that is Southern Comfort, a film directed by Walter Hill. This is one that since I've watched it, it has stuck in my mind, and I think about this movie all the time, and I want to go back honestly and rewatch it. This is a really solid movie. Like, I really enjoyed it, and I loved how, like, some people would say this is not a horror film, but when you get to the third act of this movie, it definitely leans very heavily into that horror territory, in my opinion. It reminded me a lot of The Wicker Man when you got to that third act, but before that, it's kind of like a slasher movie. Like, all these people are getting picked off in this swamp, this Louisiana swamp, And I thought the 4K was just awesome. I thought it looked great. Like Vinegar Syndrome, whenever I hear Vinegar Syndrome's doing a 4K or Arrow Video's doing a 4K, it's like I don't even worry. Like my mind is completely at ease. I'm like, this is going to be one of the best of the year because they just always do great work. So Southern Comfort, I knew it was going to look good on 4K, but it was like exactly the kind of 4K that I love. It was very grainy. There were some parts that you could tell they just couldn't properly remaster, but the moments and the scenes that really hit for me. I thought it looked excellent. I think that Louisiana swamp setting just lent itself well to a great 4K restoration, and I was really impressed with the upgrade here. You also got a brand new interview with Walter Hill in this. Tons of new special features, some archival stuff that was on the Shout Factor release as well. So I just really enjoyed this release. And you just can't beat the packaging of the VSU, guys. You just can't. Like, open this sucker up. And I like the cinematographies. I really do. Like I said, you may see another one of those. But, like, you got the booklet inside here. And you got... the thing I love about Vinegar Syndrome is they'll do these hard boxes, but you'll still have the case inside with the slipcover. So I also really appreciate that as well. So I thought this was a phenomenal release. This was one of the first Vinegar Syndrome releases of the year. I think it came out in January as well. But Southern Comfort was a great release by Vinegar Syndrome. That is my number 7. Getting into my number 6, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be happy that I did put a James Cameron 4K. Some people might not be happy that I did that, but I did put a James Cameron 4K in this stack, and the one that I chose was The Abyss. I think that pound for pound, this was the best 4K restoration of the bunch. You guys know that I thought Aliens was good, but there was a lot of things I didn't like about that transfer, and True Lies I think is just objectively not great. It's definitely an upgrade over the DVD, but it's just not a great overall 4K restoration. Whereas The Abyss, the only real problems I had with this 4K is when they were above the water, and those scenes are very few and far between. I thought everything underwater looked spectacular, and that's where 95% of this movie takes place. So I thought this was a great 4K, and the fact that you have both cuts, you had the theatrical cut, you had the extended cut, both on 4K. There's new documentaries in this. There's a new interview with James Cameron. So, I mean, Disney just spared no expense with this release. We got new interviews, great 4K restorations of the extended cut, theatrical cut. I just think with all that taken into account, wasn't my favorites, necessarily my favorite of the year. No, but this thing definitely had value for this movie. And I liked the movie. I did like the movie a lot. I just didn't love it. But maybe I'll grow to love it as time goes on. People said that I have to check out the extended cut. And I will absolutely check out the extended cut. And maybe do a review of that when I finally check it out. Just to let people know, hey, I watched the extended cut of the Abyss. And I like it a lot more now. Hopefully that's what I'll say. But The Abyss, a phenomenal release by Disney. I'll give credit where credit's due. James Cameron, Disney came together to release one of the best 4Ks of 2024 so far. So this is my number 6. Now let's get into my top 5, guys. Now these are really the best of the best. The ones that I really have no gripes about. I thought they were just phenomenal all the way through, and they just look great. I had a hard time choosing between these to order them. My number 1 is my number 1. I didn't really have a rough time with that one there, but at the end of the day, this is a ranking video, so I had to put it in order. And coming in at my number 5 is another cinematography release, and that is Little Darlings on 4K. I thought this was a phenomenal movie. Like, I really enjoyed the movie. You know, it's about these two girls. They go to summer camp and they're trying to lose their virginity. It's a lighthearted premise that gets a little dramatic in some scenes and moments in the movie. But overall, I thought it really delivered. And it was cool to see a movie like this come out before, like, you would get all the male-dominated. This comedy genre was dominated by men in the 80s and then the 90s. Bunch of guys trying to lose their virginity. It all started with girls trying to lose their virginity in Little Darling. So I thought that was pretty cool. And yeah, I thought the performances in this were great. You had an early Matt Dillon performance. The two girls were great in the movie. But the 4K really was spectacular. And like I said, Vinegar Syndrome just knows how to make those 4Ks that I love. Just the perfect amount of grain. Just a nice grain structure, that HDR with those colors, and just a really nice filmic look that I can appreciate and enjoy, and it just really enhances the experience for me. So I love Little Darlings on 4K. Summer camp movies in general, they always look great in 4K. So anytime you tell me that a summer camp movie is coming to 4K, I'm going to get excited because with the trees, the greens, and the grass, and there's just a lot of like colors involved in summer camp movies, I feel like, and all that stuff always looks great. I want to see heavyweights in 4K. Give it to us, whoever's got it. But Little Darlings, great release, great features in this as well. And like I said, this is another cinematography release, nice digibook, and I just like how they made these. I think it's super cool. I'm really looking forward to getting Touch and Dangerous Games. This is just a line I'm all in on. Just like VSUs, I'm going to try to collect every single one of these, unless they start making movies that I just really don't like or am interested in. But so far, I've been pretty interested in all of the cinematographies. So that's my number 5. Coming in at my number 4, guys, is Major League. And I almost bumped this one up to number 3, but I didn't love the movie enough. I do like this movie a lot. It's a fun comedy. And this is, look, guys, I just did a video on why can't we get comedies on 4K. This is a prime example. This movie looks spectacular on 4K. This is one of the best 4Ks of the year, and it's a comedy movie. So comedies can be upgraded to 4K, and they can look great, and you can enjoy them more than you did on the Blu-ray and the DVD, certainly. And I think Major League is a prime example of that. This movie looked phenomenal, like one of the best 4Ks I've ever seen. And this solidifies the fact that Paramount has just figured out 4K. They've got it down. They know what they're doing. They're putting out boutique level quality 4Ks. And it started last year with Flashdance, really. That's where I started to notice their quality starting to improve. But Major League just looked phenomenal on 4K. And I know a lot of people weren't high on Footloose, and that's not in my top 10. It's not in my top 10. But I wasn't that hard on that 4K. I thought it retained that natural look of Footloose, and I think it's more of a source material issue than it was an actual restoration issue. But anyway, that's beside the point. Major League is in my top 10. Number 4, I thought it was a great 4K. And I love the magnets, guys. Great steelbook and all the magnets on the back. Just freaking awesome. Thought that was a really nice touch. Now coming at number 3, guys, I just wanted to, I could have put 2 4Ks here, but I didn't want to cheat. I really didn't want to cheat because my number 1, I'm kind of cheating. But I didn't want to cheat with this one. So I picked what I thought was the better movie of the 2 because really they were pretty much neck and neck as far as quality and special features. But choosing between Green Room and Possessor, I chose Possessor to come in at my number 3. And I just kind of lumped them together because they came out together. I got them together. I watched them within a day of each other. So I'll always like think of them as being together. But Possessor, this movie keeps moving up on my list. Every time I watch this film, I am just more and more entranced by its visuals, by its mood, by its atmosphere, by its storytelling, by its performances. Everything about this movie, the direction by Brandon Cronenberg. I just think it's a great horror sci-fi movie that just keeps moving up for me every time I watch it. I've seen it 3 times now, and I just love this movie. It really just digs deep inside my psyche when I watch it. And if you haven't seen Possessor, like this is exactly the kind of horror movie that I jive with. Like I love psychological science fiction horror type movies. I just love that stuff. Like Ex Machina, I would put in that same kind of camp and category as well. And yeah, Possessor is just a phenomenal movie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. I think it might still be on Hulu or something if you want to try it out before you buy this. But great release, great packaging by Second Sight right here. You got a nice booklet on the inside. And I thought this 4K was great. Like I watched this on streaming before, and I watched it on 4K from, I think Wellgo USA put it out. But this one right here was next level. I couldn't believe it when I was watching it on the OLED. Everything popped. Everything popped. And everything was so crystal clear and clean. But it still had a really nice, like, filmic look to it as well. Everything about it was great. So Possessor was my number 3. Great 4K from Second Sight. And coming in at my number 2, guys, this is probably one of the best 4Ks that I've seen from a studio maybe ever. And I think that this is like the bar. And I feel bad for the people that did not want to get this box set for this movie that I know everybody wanted, especially fans of this director wanted. and they couldn't get it because they didn't want to buy the 5 other movies to get the Columbia Classics Volume 4. But Starman, I am telling you right now, this 4K blew me away. I don't know how I'm going to get to the end of 2024 and not still be talking about Starman, because this was just a great 4K. Absolutely, from beginning to end. Nice filmic look. The direction in this movie, the cinematography, everything looks amazing. The colors, the blue lights, like that scene where Jeff Bridges is standing there and the blue lights are shining in. That whole sequence with the blue lights and everything and her in the living room, just great. When she first meets him, just freaking phenomenal. It looked spectacular. But this whole movie, like from start to finish in 4K, just looked great. Like it looked like a movie that was just filmed yesterday, but at the same time, it had that filmic look and that filmic quality to it. It had that nice grain structure, and that HDR just brought those colors out. Such great facial detail, and I just loved it. I thought it was a phenomenal 4K, and it was one of the best 4Ks that I've ever seen. I don't think I've been this blown away by a 4K, probably since my number one, I should say, but since I think Roadhouse, like that was the last one that like really blew me away. That older like classic film restoration that they made look almost like it was brand new. That's what Starman looked like to me. And this is the kind of 4K that we should be getting from everybody. Like they just, and again, I know it comes down to source material, but they killed this. Absolutely killed this 4K. It was the best 4K of the box. And the cool thing about Starman as well, and I'll just go ahead and, you know, mention this. You got the TV show in here. And again, I know this is a part of the box set, but they put the Starman TV show in this release. So you have the 4K. I believe you have the Blu-ray in here as well. And you have, I think, 22 episodes of the TV show. And I think it's scanned in 4K. It's on a 4K disc. It might be on Blu-ray on a 4K disc, but I think it's a 4K scan as well. I could be wrong, but just a great release. I feel bad. I really hope they release this. I hope Sony releases this with the Starman poster in a steelbook or something. We know how Sony does, guys. I just made a video about it. It would be nice if they did a slipcover like this and a steelbook, but they'll probably just do a steelbook. But I want people to see this because I know a lot of people didn't get to see this. A lot of people are big John Carpenter fans and wanted to see this in 4K. And I hate to say it, guys. I really do. I hate to bring it up and make you guys jealous and have FOMO, but Starman was just a great 4K. So I cannot say enough good things about it. That's my number 2. And coming in at number 1, guys, this is where I cheat a little bit, but I feel good about cheating on this one because they were grouped in together in a box set. I just didn't get them that way. But both of the Conan movies on 4K were absolutely phenomenal. Both of these movies looked great on 4K, but these releases, in particular Conan the Barbarian, there are 9 new special features. I think Conan the Destroyer has 6 new special features. They were just great releases by Arrow Video. Like Arrow Video set the bar for 4K with these. Like these were such great transfers. And just the epic cinematic value of both of these films in 4K, that old, like, you know, sword and sandals, like setting in the deserts and just all the settings in this movie. I think that Conan the Destroyer, to be honest, I enjoyed the 4K just a little bit more because there was just a little bit more visually to sink my teeth into with this movie. But Conan the Barbarian was no slouch either. This looked great on 4K. This looked great on 4K. All the new special features. Nice chunky box sets. Like I said, you had the Conan Chronicle set that put them both together. You got booklets in each one of these. The sound was great. The music was great. And yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger, guys. I had never seen these movies before, and I just loved them. I thought the movies were great. I even liked Destroyer. People were like, Barbarian's so much better than Destroyer, but I like Destroyer a lot too. Barbarian's definitely the better movie, but Destroyer was a hell of a lot of fun. So I really enjoy these movies. And yeah, like I said, these were just the kind of 4Ks that I love. Just the perfect amount of grain, and it was just so much clarity. Everything just looked so brand new and spectacular and epic and fantastic. I loved it. The HDR was firing on all cylinders, and the Conan movies on 4K are absolutely... I don't see how anything's going to beat these. I really don't, because this is the bar for the rest of the year. Good luck to all the other studios and the boutique labels. This is the bar, the Conan Chronicles, Conan the Destroyer, Conan the Barbarian. That is my number 1. So thank you all so much for watching my top 10 4Ks of 2024 so far. be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, comment down below what some of your favorite 4Ks of the year so far are, and, turn on those bell notifications for all future videos, and follow me on all of my social media accounts. Those links are down below in the description, and we'll see you next time.